The future of WWE's UpUpDownDown gaming channel is in limbo at the moment. Many of the content creators who appear on the channel on a regular basis, including our resident King of the Ring, Xavier Woods, are said to be holding out until Woods gets a bigger slice of the pie that WWE makes from the channel. This according to a report from Fightful.com. There has been a noticeable lack of new content over the last 3 weeks or so, outside of some smaller clips. And now we know why. Sean Ross Sapp says that he was told that Woods, who never actually owned the channel, WWE owns it, but he has been the face of the channel since the very beginning. He really is the driving force behind it. Nobody would even fucking know about Up, Up, Down, Down, were it not for Xavier Woods. And him bringing all of his friends in for all the gaming stuff. All the new content that you see, he really spearheads all of it. And Sapp is told that Woods makes little to nothing from Up, Up, Down, Down, which has over 2.2 million subscribers on YouTube. He says Woods' income from both the channel and from his upcoming hosting gig on the G4 network both count against his WWE contract's downside guarantee. And Woods is said to be one of the holdouts. It's not just his friends sticking up for him. He is said to be one of the holdouts as well. What Xavier Woods makes or doesn't make isn't really of any concern to me. I mean, that's his business. It's his contract. But I'm a believer in always asking for what you think you're worth. For a long time, I never did that. I wish I could go back and take my own advice. Always ask for what you're worth. This Up, Up, Down, Down stuff is in addition to his work on TV, so the man should be appropriately compensated for that time and that effort that he puts into that channel, especially if that channel is a real moneymaker for that company. Now imagine if you had multiple talents like this banding together on the Twitch stuff from all those months ago and that whole fiasco blew up. Maybe if more people held out like they're holding out here for this Xavier Woods thing, if they actually had some big names who could join in and hold out, maybe they could have made a real difference. We'll never know. Speaking of King Woods, he tweeted out a video this week talking about the Survivor Series 5-on-5 Raw vs. SmackDown match, and he asked the question, what are we fighting for? Which is a question I ask on this podcast every year when we talk about Survivor Series. What are we fighting for? What exactly is on the line outside of bragging rights in this match? Bragging rights for a brand that in a lot of cases, many of these people were not even on a few weeks ago. I've given suggestions on what could be up for grabs in these matches, and our good king has chimed in as well. He proposed that the losing team should have a 5-way elimination match to determine the first 5 spots, the order of the first 5 spots in the Men's Royal Rumble match next year. Meanwhile, the winning team would do the same, but they would be fighting for spots 26 through 30 in the Rumble. Now, I like the fact that he is at least coming up with ways to make these matches mean something. That's more than I can say for the company he works for. If WWE, though, wants to have a surprise entrant, and many times they do, in the Royal Rumble, and they want that surprise entrant to enter at number 30, like John Cena back in 2008, when he came out, big surprise, Madison Square Garden, the place went nuts. If they ever wanted to do something like that, they're going to have that person come out at number 30, regardless of what, rules they set up with Survivor Series and all that. So if there's ever a situation like that, they're going to have that person come out at number 30, regardless of who they are. So that could be a pain in the ass if you've already committed to giving the spot to a specific brand. And that person who you want in that spot does not belong to that brand. Maybe they're not even full-time on the main roster. That could be a problem. It's the same thing with winning, the winning brand getting the main event of WrestleMania. That's a suggestion that has been made by some people before as well. Well, now WrestleMania is 2 nights every year. So which night do they get? It doesn't really work. Plus, if The Rock comes back one year and he wants to wrestle Roman Reigns, but Monday Night Raw won at Survivor Series, it's not as if Raw is going to get that main event spot over The Rock. I mean, let's be honest here. One idea that I've pitched before is awarding the winning brand 1 draft pick, or even 2 draft picks, 1 male and 1 female, of their choosing from the opposing brand. Any star they wish from the losing brand, not including their champions. The champions are draft protected. Anybody else, though, they can pluck from the other show. So if Team Raw wins and they want to draft Roman Reigns from SmackDown, well, they can't do that. But if they want to draft Drew McIntyre and bring him back to Monday Night Raw, then they could take him. Or they could take Sasha Banks. At least then the stakes are high. There are actual stakes on the line. If these people have such brand loyalty and they want to make their brand as strong as possible and the level of competition as strong as possible, then they should be eager to win and bring some of that talent over to their show. At least there's something on the line. But I could see that me and a lot of you and Xavier Woods are putting far more thought into this than WWE ever has. And Ric Flair has resurfaced for the first time since the Plane Ride from Hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring turned him into a pariah, turned him into persona non grata for a while. WWE took him out of the signature of their shows. AEW never brought him in when I'm positive Tony Khan would have brought Ric Flair in. Probably for that Arthur Ashe Stadium show. I believe were it not for that whole controversy, he would be Andrade's manager right now on TV. It wouldn't be Arn Anderson, punching Jose in the face at Full Gear last night. We would have had a standoff between Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. I fully believe that 100%. But he is coming back with a brand new podcast called Ric Flair Woo Nation Uncensored, co-hosted by Flair and former WCW announcer and radio jock Mark Madden. There's a name that I haven't really thought about in a very long time. Mark Madden's still around. It's being produced by a new podcast network called Podcast Heat. The first episode drops this Wednesday. We should all take bets on whether it survives longer than his last podcast did, which lasted a little under 50 episodes before Flair pulled the plug. There was an incident at an airport in Boston a few years ago. I think he was drunk at the airport. And that was the end of the podcast. That was his choice. He pulled the plug. I never got the sense Flair even wanted to do a podcast. Shockingly, he is not doing this new podcast with his son-in-law. He is not doing the podcast with Conrad as he did his first show. Conrad did the first show with Flair. Maybe Conrad said, look, I'm not getting involved in this again. He was smart enough to look at this and go, leave me out of it. I got enough on my plate as it is with Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett and Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff and the other 5 or 6 podcasts that he's doing. He's like, I want no part of this. This ain't going to end well.